Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. Our topic today is about transition. So we've done a few little series about letting go and attachment, and one thing that tends to happen in life is that, we go through a lot of transitions. And that's really what today's practice is about, is that we go through transitions all the time. And if you practice managing yourself and managing how you react to things in small transitions, it can be good practice for when we start to see the huger transitions coming in life. So we all have really big transitions coming in the future. And it doesn't mean we have to be anxious about them coming, but know that, of course, there are a lot of things that are going to change. And I think the last time we talked about the ever-changing body, that this body is, moving forwards in time. It doesn't mean that you can't age gracefully. Most certainly we can. And that's I sometimes talk about the 5 pillars of mental health, and I think those things really translate over into physical health as well. I'll just mention them as eating well. No, let's say meditation, eating well, exercise, sleeping enough, and hydration. So if we do all of these things and we do them enough, and we basically if we look after our bodies, we are a lot more likely to age gracefully. And that age isn't just a number. I mean, certainly there are a certain number of times that this planet has revolved around the sun since you've been on it, but that is not necessarily an indicator of your actual biological age. So we do have quite a decent amount of control over that by taking care of ourselves. So, of course, the body will transition over time. And other things, lots of things in life transition. Relationships begin, relationships end. Everything has a beginning and an end, and including this breath. If you notice that when you're breathing, every breath has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Every in-breath has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Every out-breath has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So one of the easy ways to practice transition, to practice experiencing transition, is by following the breath. This is one way for us to see that transition doesn't have to be huge. And even the huger transitions, we can learn to manage with grace. And all kinds of other transitions. Transition from sitting to standing, transition from standing to walking, transition from sleeping to wakefulness, transition from wakefulness to sleeping. So all kinds of little transitions going on in life. And I think one of the other things that we talked about last time as well is that, and I was quoting Mark Lesser. Mark was talking about his transition out of being CEO of Search Inside Yourself Leadership Institute and how that was challenging. But for you to be able to be ready for something new, we have to let go of what's old, and whatever's in the space of the old has to be gone to make way for whatever it is that's new. And I think this is a good time. Before I read Parable of the Trapeze, I want to read The Guest House by Rumi, because I do there is something here about transition in Rumi's The Guest House poem. This is the Coleman Barks translation. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So thank you. Thanks for listening to that, and now let's get into the parable of the trapeze. So speaking of transition, this passage is a bit more about bigger transitions in life. So this is called Turning the Fear of Transformation into the Transformation of Fear by Danaan Parry. Sometimes I feel that my life is a series of trapeze swings. I'm either hanging on to a trapeze bar, swinging along, or for a few moments in my life, I'm hurtling across space in between trapeze bars. Most of the time, I spend my life hanging on for dear life to my trapeze bar of the moment. It carries me along for a certain steady rate of swing, and I have a feeling that I'm in control of my life. I know most of the right questions and even some of the answers. But every once in a while, as I'm merrily or even not so merrily swinging along, I look out ahead of me into the distance, and what do I see? I see another trapeze bar swinging toward me. It's empty, and I know in that place in me that knows that this new trapeze bar has my name on it. It is the next step, my growth, my aliveness coming to get me. In my heart of hearts, I know that for me to grow, I must release my grip on this present, well-known bar and move to the new one. Each time it happens to me, I hope, no, I pray, that I won't have to let go of my old bar completely before I grab the new one. But in my knowing place, I know that I must totally release my grasp on the old bar. For some moment in time, I must hurtle across space before I can grab onto the new bar. Each time I'm filled with terror. It doesn't matter that in all my previous hurdles across the void of unknowing, I've always made it. I am each time afraid that I will miss, that I will be crushed on unseen rocks at the bottomless chasm between bars. I do it anyway. Perhaps this is the essence of what the mystics call the faith experience. No guarantees, no net, no insurance policy, but you do it anyway because somehow to keep hanging on to that old bar is no longer on the list of alternatives. So for an eternity that can last a microsecond or 1,000 lifetimes, I soar across the dark void of the past is gone, the future is not yet here. It's called transition. I've come to believe that this transition is the only place that real change occurs. I mean real change, not the pseudo change that only lasts until the next time my old buttons get punched. I've noticed that in our culture, this transition zone is looked upon as a no thing, a no place between places. Sure, that old trapeze bar was real, and that new one coming toward me, well, I hope that's real too. But in the void in between, is that just a scary, confusing, disorienting nowhere that must be gotten through as fast and as unconsciously as possible? No, what a wasted opportunity that would be. I have a sneaking suspicion that the transition zone is the only real thing and that the bars are illusions we dream up to avoid the void where the real change, the real growth occurs for us. Whether or not my hunch is true, it remains that the transition zones in our lives are incredibly rich places. They should be honored, even savored. Yes, with all the pain and fear and feelings of being out of control that can, but not necessarily, accompany transitions. They are still the most alive, the most growth-filled, passionate, expansive moment of our lives. We cannot discover new oceans until we have the courage to lose sight of the shore. So transformation of fear may have nothing to do with making fear go away, but rather giving ourselves permission to hang out in the transition between trapezes. Transforming our need to grab that new bar, any bar, is allowing ourselves to dwell in the only place where real change really happens. It can be terrifying. It can also be enlightening in the true sense of the word. Hurtling through the void, we may just learn how to fly. All right. Thanks everyone for listening. Let's go ahead and get into our meditation, which will be awareness of breath. So pay attention to the transitions, the transition between the in-breath and the out-breath, and the spaces in between. So get yourself comfortable. Seeing if you can relax the face, relax the shoulders, maybe roll your shoulders a few times. Move your head around if you like. Just invite a little bit of relaxation into the body if you can. Allow your hands to rest on your knees or in your lap. And so let's arrive in stillness, maintain that intention to stay still throughout our practice today. To let go of conscious thinking and see if instead we can really arrive in our bodies. Notice physical sensations. So if you like, allowing your eyes to close. Let's take a moment to feel into the state of the body, the state of the mind right now. Remembering that nothing is permanent. Everything is changing. Even the state of the body and the body and the mind may be changing between now and the time the meditation comes to its close. Maybe having a single word label to describe the state of the body, state of the mind, state of the emotions. And then, as we sit here in stillness, noticing the fact that you are breathing. If you're joining this practice today and you are a living creature, you must be breathing. And how do we know that we're breathing well? There are some physical sensations. So you can feel as the body expands on the inhalation, contracts, releases on the exhalation. And now tuning in with all of our awareness to those physical sensations. Fully experiencing the in-breath. Experiencing the out-breath. And taking that awareness dial and turning it all the way up so that every little detail about breathing is absorbed. You don't miss a thing. What about that moment where the inhalation becomes an exhalation? How about the moment where the exhalation becomes an inhalation? And what does an inhalation feel like? How does it change the state of the body and the mind and the emotions? Is there some effect? What about the exhalation? And do you notice any thoughts that appear? Thoughts as an inner monologue, maybe hearing your own voice in your own head. If you find that any thoughts are coming, seeing if you can just, as best you can, let go of those thoughts and come back to focusing the attention completely, curiously watching as the breath goes in and as the breath goes out. And that space between the exhalation and the inhalation, the space between the inhalation and the exhalation. How often do we really look at that? See if you can pay very close attention to that. It's like throwing a tennis ball against a wall. It's that moment where the tennis ball is touching the wall. The ball compresses, it expands again, and it comes off the wall. Very much like the space between the inhale and the exhale and the exhale and the inhale. See if you can notice that transition. This transition that's happening thousands of times per day. What is it like? Have you ever really stopped to pay attention to it? And other transitions we may see during our practice would be the transition from a focused mind to a scattered, wandering mind. Seeing how that transition happens as well. Being aware of it, non-judgmentally. Letting go when those thoughts arrive and coming back to this full, detailed examination of the process of breathing. And so wherever you are, whatever you've been doing, let's really focus on the next 3 breaths. And so, congratulations for having made it through today's practice. I'll close our practice today with 3 rings of the bell. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for your participation today. I wish you all the best as you go through all of the transitions in life. There are a lot, and there really is a transition between every single breath that we take. And what was that like? Did you notice anything today as we were paying attention to the in-breath, the out-breath, the spaces in between? What came up for you? And how is everything going for you as well? Are you experiencing any big transitions in life? Feel free to write in the chat, and I'll go ahead and start taking a look at the chat now. Yeah, this is the Renuk asked which poem. This is the piece was called The Parable of the Trapeze, or the turning the fear of transformation into the transformation of fear by Danaan Parry. It's great to spend time with everybody here, and I appreciate you taking your time out for yourself as well. I do have to say that I believe that through meditation, everyone who meditates, you can't help but start to radiate compassion outwards. And so through your meditation, which may be viewed by others as selfish, because after all, I'm spending time here with myself, doing something with just me. Some people might see meditation as selfish, but I think that it's quite the opposite. That meditation really is a fuel for the fires of compassion. So keep it up, and keep meditating yourself. Keep joining in this daily practice too. Although it's not as daily as it once was, as I'm working on a few other things now. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Dirk. Anything? What came up? I'm curious. Did you notice this transition between inhalation and exhalation? Did you notice what was it like? What was the state of the body, the state of the mind, the state of the emotions as you went into the practice, and what was the state like coming out? Maybe the difference is subtle. See what's there. Thanks, Tina, for sharing the transient nature of the breath. And again, just like how we may have to be swept clean of all the furniture in our house before we have new space for the next thing. What's coming? We don't know. We don't know what's coming in the future. And just like that, when your body is filled with air, you have to breathe out. If you don't breathe out, then there's no room for the next puff of life-giving oxygen. And so I really think the breath is an excellent lesson about transition. Caesar says one direction was easier. Dirk says difficult to explain. Thanks. Jean says, as I was paying attention to my breath and the transitions between breathing in and out, my mind wandered a bit to the transition between moods that I experience. I'm noticing a transition today from one state to another. Thanks for sharing, Jean, and I wish you all the best as you go through that transition. John said, I found my breath slowed down. It was really relaxing. Thanks for sharing. And so notice. It doesn't matter what's happening. And this is mindfulness. Noticing what's going on. Being aware. That's it. That's the simple definition of mindfulness. Being aware. Can you be aware of what's going on? Okay, thanks everybody. Let us send our well wishes out. And I suppose before that, I just want to share that I'm going to Hong Kong on early Thursday morning, so I won't be here on Thursday or on Saturday because I'm leading a silent retreat in Hong Kong. So to be fully present there, I think it's best. Well, and in fact, I'm not sure I can arrive at the farm in time if I'm leading the practice here with all of us. So apologies, and I do hope you'll join in next week. So 1 week from today, there's another practice. The title of that practice, let's see, is Simplicity. It's about how simplicity can help us to be more mindful. So look forward to sharing that. Thanks. Thanks, Jean. Thanks, everybody. All right, let's send our well wishes out to each other and to ourselves. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. May all life throughout the universe, including those yet to be born, I wish them all happiness and peace. All right, all the best as you continue your day. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.